I had a rough day.
Tell me about it, man. I gotta wake my ass up at 6 a.m. every day this week. Drag up to Las Galindas. Yeah, I'm doing the drywall up there at the new McDonald's.
Let me ask you something. When you come in on Monday and you're not feeling real well, does anyone ever say to you, sounds like someone has a case of the Mondays?
No. No, man. Shit, no, man. I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that, man.
Huh.
We still going fishing this weekend?
Lumberg's gonna have me come in on Saturday. I just know it.
You can get out of that easily.
Yeah. How?
Well, when a boss wants you to work on Saturday, he generally asks you at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So all you gotta do is avoid them. That's all right, I got it. On the last few hours on Friday, duck out early, turn off your answering machine. You should be home free, man.
That's a really good idea.
Fucking A, man.
Lawrence, what would you do if you had $1 million?
I'll tell you what I'd do, man. 2 chicks at the same time, man.
That's it? You had $1 million, you'd do 2 chicks at the same time?
Damn straight. I always wanted to do that, man. And I think if I were a millionaire, I could hook that up, too, because chicks dig dudes with money.
Well, not all chicks.
Well, the type of chicks that double up on a dude like me do.
Good point.
Well, what about you now? What would you do?
Besides 2 chicks at the same time?
Well, yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing, huh?
I would relax. I would sit on my ass all day. I would do nothing.
Well, you don't need $1 million to do nothing, man. Take a look at my cousin. He's broke, don't do shit.
It's Two Dads, One Movie. It's the podcast where 2 middle-aged dads sit around and shoot the shit about the movies of the 80s and 90s. Here are your hosts, Steve Paulo and Nick Brianna. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Two Dads, One Movie. I'm Steve.
And I'm Nick.
And today we are wrapping up our march through the decades that we've been calling Two Dads, Two Decades, which we started 20 weeks ago with Airplane in 1980. It is now 1999, and we watched Office Space from Mike Judge. And Nick, kick it off first, man. This is a movie you brought to us. So why did you bring us Office Space? What's your history with it?
Yeah, I think, like many people of our generation, this one was very... it was very important to us. It gave us a lot of terminology. And then, specifically for me and a lot of my friends and us, we weren't in the business world yet.
Right.
When we saw this and started to love it. So our first jobs, the second there's any mention of like a memo or a fucking whatever, we're like, oh shit. So it was just very quotable, very rewatchable. This again was the put it on before you go out movie.
Right,
so
right.
the early parts of this are ultra familiar to me. And then there's certain parts towards the end that aren't. But just a fun movie, and I think a great way to wrap up the Two Dads, Two Decades in the true spirit of like what we're trying to go for with this show.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and I think this is one that definitely benefited from Comedy Central. I feel like this was on Comedy Central like constantly for a few years, and so it was just almost impossible. If you were coming home, I remember being in college, you come home drunk from the bars or whatever, you throw on the TV before you go to bed, and if you happen to throw on Comedy Central, you had like a 1 in 4 chance that this is the movie that was playing some random night at 1 a.m. or something.
Also, this was a classic. You pass out and just the DVD menu screen is just looping and looping and looping as you're falling.
Absolutely. Yeah. For myself, like very similar to you, I caught it in college, didn't see it in the theater, but would have seen it pretty soon after, DVD. I was, the guy kind of similar to last week's where basketball, I would have seen it originally because somebody said, oh, the guys who made South Park did this. Similar with this would have been, oh, the guy who made Beavis and Butthead did this movie.
Right.
All right, well, we'll check it out. And I think that's, we'll talk about the facts in a minute, but I think that's one of the reasons the movie didn't do that well in the theaters is because they tried to market it as like from the guy with Beavis and Butthead kind of thing. And it was like, that's so got nothing to do with like the humor's not the same. Like Mike Judge has massive range as a creator. And this just isn't in the Beavis and Butthead King of the Hill kind of register. This is a very different kind of vibe. But yeah, like a lot of very fun movie, one that, quote all the time, so much stuff. that comes out of this movie is just now like in my vernacular. PC load letter, what the fuck does that mean? Like, I mean, all this stuff. And then, I have spent over 20 years working in software. Luckily for me, never in an office environment that was this stodgy. When I worked in offices, I've been remote for the last like 7 years, but like when I worked in offices, it was always at startups. I spent a little time at Google, but even Google acts like a startup. Like nobody at Google is wearing like ties. You know what I mean? So,
well, the way startups operate almost seems like a reaction to this type of culture, right?
In a lot of ways, the ping pong tables and the fucking free coffee and like, like the come as you are.
You still have to come in on Saturday and Sunday, but hey, you're wearing shorts.
Hey, these days 996 has become a real popular thing in tech, which is ridiculous. Just working 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. Luckily, not any company I work at, but that has become a thing, which is gross. Anyway, let's jump into the facts on the movie Office Space. It came out on February 19th, 1999, right after Valentine's Day. Would have been a fun date movie, with an R rating and a running time of a brisk 89 minutes, maybe within the four fastest movies I think we've watched. I think Army of Darkness was like 84. Spinal Tap's real short. Army of Darkness is real short, and this one at 89. You don't see a lot of sub 90-minute features. So directed and written for the screen by Mike Judge, and of course adapted from Judge's animated shorts called Milton, which is the character Stephen Root plays.
Is this would this be a adapted screenplay, even though he wrote it's adapted off what he wrote originally?
Just like Cameron Crowe getting nominated for adapted screenplay for Fast Times at Ridgemont High based off of the book Fast Times at Ridgemont High by Cameron Crowe. It's still written for screen as the credit. So yeah, it is what it is. It's the way the WGA rules work. The movie stars Ron Livingston, Jennifer Aniston, and David Herman. Ron, of course, we saw in Swingers. Jennifer Aniston, of course, the most famous person in the cast at this point. And David Herman, who plays the Michael Bolton character. Scores, Rotten Tomatoes, 82%. Pretty healthy. Wow. Dig it. IMDb, 7.6. Very highly respected. Very strong, especially for a comedy. Gene Siskel was getting sick by the time this movie came out, so he did not give a thumbs up or down on this movie. Instead, we get just one thumbs up from Roger Ebert for Office Space.
It's kind of sad when it just becomes one thumb.
Yeah, it's I think anything in the second half of 98 or throughout 99, we're not going to get a Siskel rating on. So yeah, no awards to speak of. A couple of Critics Award nominations, nothing really interesting. On a $10 million budget, which like again, last week we watched Basketball for 25 million and what they were able to do there. This movie for 10 is like in many ways more impressive. But again, I think a big part of that is not having to build sets, right? They clearly were on location for the shoots. Anyway, it pulled in just 12.8 million at the box office, 1.28 times what it cost, which is definitely a disappointment. There's no way to spin that isn't disappointing.
Sure.
But
I wish we had home video numbers because I know this is like gone fucking crazy with merchandising and all that.
It's a movie that definitely benefited from DVD sales and rentals, and then also again from just being one of those kind of like staples that basic cable would play the edited version of just on repeat basically. So yeah, that's how it became. I mean, it has become an absolute cult classic for sure. This is one of those movies, we've seen several already in our run, but this is one of those movies that like box office flop, but got such a second life in home video, which really isn't a thing anymore. Now it's like there's streaming. So if you're gonna come out in the theaters and but if you're gonna flop, the streamers don't even tend to want to pick you up. Yeah. So it's not like a standard thing like it used to be, where even the flops got put out on DVD or VHS or whatever. Nowadays it's a little funkier. I think you either got to be a streaming movie or you've got to be a theatrical movie that does well enough that the streamers give a shit about buying the rights to you. But yeah, Office Space definitely benefited from that system that used to exist.
For sure.
All right, Nick, kick us off, man. How does Office Space start?
All right, Office Space. We've got a cold open, and we've got an introduction to our main characters stuck in traffic on their way to work. Great scene. So we got Peter Gibbons played by Ron Livingston, and he's stuck there in stop and go traffic. Obviously, every frustrating thing you could imagine. He's seeing how slow he's going. He looks out his window and sees an old man in a walker passing him. The lane next to him, of course, is moving just fine. And then when he can finally get into the other lane, that lane stops and his previous lane goes. So that's happening to Peter.
I will say this movie 100% continues to affect the way I drive. Yeah. Because of Office Space, I don't try to if I'm in shitty traffic, I stay in the lane I'm in. And I think to myself, it'll all work out. It'll all even out eventually. Yeah. Everybody's trying to go the same place. And it's literally because of this movie that I won't cut over to the other lane. I swear to God.
So Peter's in the car, and then we've got Michael Bolton, who's played by David Herman. And he's singing loudly along with this rap song. just really getting down, and he's coming up to like an intersection or whatever, and there's a guy outside of his window who's like selling flowers at the intersection. The most like benign figure you could imagine, but it's a guy who happens to be black. So Michael Bolton like turns his music way down and locks his door and everything, is like starts singing it, quietly. And then the second that guy leaves, he bumps it back up. I got the feeling up inside me. If I can't talk to my mama, then I talk to my diary. And he's singing along with it. So very funny. And I'm one of those guys. I'm not a lock my door and turn it down guy, but I'm a blast my ass off when I'm driving by myself.
I will say, how many movies do we have before Office Space with let's call it a predominantly white cast? No major character who's black, although we do have Samir, who's I think he's supposed to be like Pakistani or Saudi or something like that, right? He makes a comment at Riyadh. Yeah. So
he might just be a comedian in 2026.
There you go. But outside of him in a very brief appearance late by Orlando Jones, like this is an all white cast that has an all hip hop soundtrack. I feel like that's got to be before Office Space. I don't know that existed anywhere. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, unless it was being done ironic, because the thing about the hip hop in this movie, it's believable that this is what the characters listen to, because this is what I listen to. This is what you listen to. Our friends, so it's not done in a parody way. So
it's
maybe
not
there
Malibu's
was
Most Wanted or something.
So
like that.
I was thinking about something like that, but even that kind of shit didn't start getting made till the mid 2000s. So I think you're right, and that's a great point to bring up.
It's very interesting.
And then Samir in his car, we get Samir briefly, and he's just like furious and punching his wheel and going crazy, right?
Samir Nainanajah. Not that hard to say, actually.
No, not at all.
Not hard to say at all. But everybody seems to deal with it. Maybe it's written really funny. Maybe it's not written phonetically at all. But yeah, we also briefly see Milton, the Stephen Root character, with the bad skin, the enormous eyeglasses. But he's not driving to work. He's sitting at a bus stop waiting for his bus to come. When Peter arrives at Initech, he parks, has to walk kind of a ways to get to the office, and he comes inside and he reaches for the doorknob, and you can tell he knows this is going to happen before it does. But he gets such a big static shock that you can see it, like it jumps like a lightning bolt off of the handle onto his hand. And I hate that. Like the number of times, like a carpeted office, and you're wearing, if it's not rubber soled shoes, if you've got like leather soled shoes, or one of those like dress shoes, you're just going to get shocked everywhere.
It's the worst feeling. Have you ever been to one of those science museums where they have the thing where you can like experience different levels of shock? I hate that shit so much. Why does that exist? I hate that stuff.
I don't remember his name, but it was like Henzi or Herman. It was our physics teacher, senior year of high school. Harich, thank you. I knew it was an H. He had this crank machine, and you would go student to student and hold the two ends of the connectors or of the wires, and then the student in front of you would turn the crank to feel it. And the idea was like, they're going to do it to you next, so be gentle.
Oh man!
And every once in a while, some of the guys in class would just crank that thing super hard. I mean, it was never enough to like hurt you, but it hurt. You know what I mean? Like
everyone's going Bill Murray and Ghostbusters, just maximizing your shock there.
Oh my god!
But relatable. So far, like we've established all this relatable stuff that has nothing to do with the actual job. It just has to do with fucking getting there in the first place, right?
To work.
So he's shocked by the door, and he goes down, he sits at his desk, and he starts,
he's got a shitty little cubicle, although honestly, I would kill for a cubicle in the 20 teens, because like back when I was in offices, then it's all open floor plan. Everybody's sneezing on everyone else. Like cubicle walls were a luxury. Yeah. Like by the time I was working in offices in 2010.
I've been lucky, like in my whole career, my first job out of college, I've been at small firms the whole time, and I've had my own office. I had to share with another person for a couple years, but other than that, I've had my own like full ass office. So I never lived that cubicle life.
Yeah.
And
most of the companies I've worked at, the CEO doesn't have an office.
Yeah.
They just sit out in the bullpen with everybody else.
Yeah. I had 0 ping pong tables though.
There you go. Right. So I had a lot of ramen available to me.
So Peter's approached by his boss, Bill Lumberg, played by Gary Cole.
The wonderful Gary Cole.
Fucking funny.
Gary Cole.
When we were watching this, my wife and I were talking about Gary Cole.
Yeah.
His performance in the Brady Bunch movie as Mike Brady is one of the funniest things ever. The degree of difficulty to be so perfect and then so funny on top of that impression. He's just so great. I wish he was listed instead of David Herman, to be honest with you.
That's fair. I probably could have put Gary Cole on.
It's not on you. It's whoever does the fact sheet.
Yeah, right. Whoever that is. I'll have to flog that intern later. No, do you ever watch Entourage?
I saw like the first season of it.
See, by the end of the movie, or by the end of the series, Cole is like also an agent working with Ari, with the Jeremy Piven character, and the two of them together are an absolute riot. Like Gary Cole as a fucking agent in LA is so funny, and he's like season 5, 6 sort of, I think is that ballpark. But
that guy has so much range. I love him.
He's really great.
So he approaches Peter, and like, of course, very quotable. Hey, Peter,
what's happening?
So I heard you had a. So the issue is like Peter didn't put the proper cover page on his memo on his TPS report, right? Did you get the memo? And there's all this stuff. So he's approached by Bill Lumberg, Gary Cole, his boss. He's approached by another guy.
Dom,
so everyone he encounters is mentioning, I heard you're not putting cover sheets.
Gets a phone call from another person to remind him, like,
and he's just like, yeah, sorry, I forgot, I'll do it. And they won't accept that. They're like, yeah, because we're trying to do that. And such a grating, shitty thing. And again, I've only worked at small companies. I haven't had to deal with too much of that, but this boiled my blood, dude. And his neighbor in the neighboring cube is Milton, who we saw earlier, who's playing the radio, which is loud enough that it would drive you insane, right?
It's not a reasonable volume at all, Milton.
And he keeps saying, I was told that I could play. And
reasonable volume.
kind of Anchorman syndrome with this movie a bit. Like I heard too many Milton impressions that weren't very good, that tainted it a bit.
Is that a fucking message? Is that a message, Nick?
No, yours was perfect. I thought you were just playing a recording from the film. No, you know what I mean. You're a voice pro here. But so Milton. Fair. So we've kind of set like Peter's situation. He's just like. Miserable.
And he can hear Mina in the cubicle video. Corporate accounts payable, Mina speaking.
Yes.
Just a moment. And she repeats that over and over again, which like, here's the thing.
That lady's look is so funny.
It's so perfect.
She's
so much makeup, good. The bright red hair. I did not have that situation, but I do remember one of the early startups I worked in. It was it had cubicle walls still because this was like 2005 maybe. So it was like early. But it was this big warehouse, converted warehouse in Emeryville. So it was like the acoustics were god awful, right? Yeah. Everything reverberated off everything else. And I was working in customer support. So I was like on the phones with like my headset on, and I had these asshole sales guys like 2 cubicles over who would do conference calls over speaker. So they were doing speakerphone calls while I'm trying to like take like basically a pissed off customer, like complaining about something and trying to help them out. Right. It was my first job in tech. And yeah, it was like just absolute nightmare to have these guys just talking super loud and like 2 cubicles over. And we couldn't say anything to them because they were the sales guys. So the second you try to like change the way they do anything, all they got to go is, but I'm like, bringing in like a $50,000 deal. So sorry. And it's like, and the company's not going to side with the stupid ass customer service kid. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, it is so tough managing. Just, everyone needs a certain environment to be able to work and to be able to focus. And it's so disrespected in these kind of places.
Oh my God, it's so bad. Yeah. Thank God for working from home.
We get Samir, one of the coworkers who we saw in the car earlier, and he's standing there at the printer, which is one of our recurring characters.
Yeah, basically a character
like our
in the
fax
movie.
Machine and Swingers and different inanimate recurring characters. And we get why does it say paper jam when there is no paper jam? And he's hitting it and doing all this stuff, right? I love it, and we've all experienced it.
Absolutely.
And again, I'm a very tech frustrated person, so I'm gonna flip out on a machine before I troubleshoot.
Well, that's fair. That's I have the right way to troubleshoot most of these machines is the 3 R's, which is retry, reboot, and reinstall. Those are that tends to solve a lot of your problems. But there is
Mine was rage.
I was to say the other R potentially is rage out, and that's if that's the 4th R, then that's just don't make it your first stop. Maybe that's all in your troubleshooting journey. So there's a mail being delivered by this woman, and so she can't pronounce Samir's last name. She's like, and he says his name is Naina, which is like a mouthful, don't get me wrong, but it also doesn't seem like it'd be that hard to understand unless it's written really funny. Yeah. So I don't know how they spelled his name. I should have probably tried to look that up, and I didn't.
And it's funny because you're assuming it's the same person handing out paychecks all the time, so they're doing this every 2 weeks.
Right. Well, it's not even paychecks. I think they're delivering a memo because I think it's the memo Tom talks about later about the consultants. Right. But then she turns to Michael and is like, Michael Bolton? Oh, and it's like, and then people keep asking me if he's related to the guy. Like, no, like how many people who you're related to have your exact name? 0, a grand total of 0, unless you're talking about like a grandparent that you're named after. Yeah. Not somebody within a generation of your age. Mm-hmm. Like there are no other Steve Paulos in my family. There are other Paulos. Yeah. Right. There's no other Steve. It's so stupid. Like, I don't know. Like
it's a version of people being like, oh, you went to UCLA.
Do you know?
Do you know my cousin? It's like,
I graduated in 2003. Oh, my cousin was there in 2006. Awesome. Nope. Missed
Yeah.
him. Like, you know.
Michael and Samir share a cubicle.
Yes.
Right. And Michael and Samir and Peter stops by. He's like, hey, like, my day is already fucking ruined.
Right.
Do you want to go get some coffee next door? And they're kind of bantering back and forth. And Michael is talking about like how much he hates the Michael Bolton thing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And he introduces, this is the first time I heard the phrase, that no talent ass clown.
So good.
Which still in the vernacular everywhere.
And here's the thing, we were talking in the Clerks episode, you mentioned Kevin Smith using the snowball term and explaining it.
Yeah.
But like that definitely existed pre that movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Or like American Pie and talking about a MILF, right? Like
Yep.
that existed pre that movie. But no talent ass clown, I think we can give that to Mike Judge. I think
All
that is a
right.
coined phrase because I did not see that before. And it's like specific enough
Yes.
that I feel like it really should be. That's a judgeism, you know? Like,
I love those insults where it's just like you're stuck on what word to throw. So you just think of something. No, ass clown. Like just think of something that sounds hurtful.
It's like an insult ad lib, just mad lib. Put in whatever you want. So this is when the woman who was passing out the handles was like, you know, sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays, which is not cool. But yeah, so they go over to Tchotchkes, which is, you know, a Chili's TGI Fridays, right? Style
Yeah.
shit on the walls. Makes me think of, if you've seen the movie, I'm sure you have, Super Troopers. They talk about, hey Farva, what's that restaurant you like with the mozzarella sticks and all the shit on the walls? Shenanigans? We going to Shenanigans? It's that kind of thing.
Yep.
So this is their one of the couple
Uncle
that they
Moe's
make
family
up.
feedback.
Yeah,
from The
exactly. The
Simpsons.
whole deal. Exactly. So they go over there and they just have a couple of coffees. I think Brian is the waiter that helps them, who's like too cheery and too chipper and like whatever.
The menu items he offers them are,
Oh yeah.
could I interest you in some pizza shooters, shrimp poppers, or extreme fajitas? It's just like they nailed like that type of restaurant. I mean, Mike Judge is so astute at the way he can point out these different things in society, and like he just crumbled that entire type of business model with this movie.
Between this and Idiocracy, the amount of his observational
Silicon Valley, right?
The amount of his observational understanding of the world around him is like really impressive. Judge is I think a very underrated creator and auteur
For sure.
But yeah, so this is also then when we see Joanna. This is Jennifer Aniston's character. Peter notices her from across the restaurant and is like, oh, there she is. And you know, Samir's like, you know, Peter, if you're so obsessed with this girl, why don't you go ask her out? You know, and he's like, dude, I'd be some asshole customer. And he's right. Like, you can't just like walk up to a waitress and be like, hi, you want to go out with me? Like, you're just some jerk who's like in the restaurant. I get that. Like, I definitely get that. And so then they say, oh, you should come by play poker, right? Isn't they going to play poker?
Yeah, they were going to play poker on
No, you
Friday.
should come over and play poker. Oh no. And this is Peter talking about his girlfriend. Anne convinced me to go to an occupational hypnotherapist, which is like, I have family members who are occupational therapists. Like, and that job is to prepare people coming off of like surgeries or other things to get back into their lives and be able to like do major functions, you know, that you need to do. Like literally, like they teach people how to like tie their shoes again.
Yeah.
Like different stuff like that. So like but an occupational hypnotherapist to me is hilariously funny because it's like already hypnotherapy is like kind of like silly.
Yeah.
So then you're going to try to take the most like the version of therapy that's the most like bare bones functional, the occupational therapy is like, and we're going to make this like put these together. To me, it's like such a funny juxtaposition to have an occupational hypnotherapist.
The phrase, it's like they're using it with different interpretations. So it's almost like a hypnotherapist that is about your
job.
occupation, right?
Oh my God.
They do they talk to what's his name?
They come back and
Tom
they-
Smokowski
Yeah,
first, right?
yeah. They come back and they talk to Tom Smithkowski, whatever, however you pronounce his name. But yeah, on their way back from Tchotchkes, he catches them kind of in the parking lot,
and he's
is
like the
freaking out.
paranoid
Yes.
coworker who's a good stereo or good fucking archetype here, right?
Yes, exactly. And this is the actor also who played one of the prison guard
bus
guy,
guards, the fugitive.
exactly,
Yes.
the fugitive. He's the one that survived and claimed that you know, oh, you think I got away or whatever, you know. But yeah, that's right. He said that the doctor died, and he
Right.
But yeah, so he's that guy, and he's just freaking out because he's like, have you seen this memo? Like, they're bringing in consultants. Like, this happened at Intertrode last year, and they laid off everybody and all this stuff. And they're like, Tom, you've been, you know, saying you're going to lose your job every day for 30 years. Like, you're still here, you know. But yeah, he's freaking out. So they're back in Samir and Michael's sort of cubicle, and they're all chatting. And Tom's like, you know, there are people that don't have to worry about this. There are people that like make $1 million. What you got to do is invent something really great, like the pet rock.
Yeah.
and he explains to them how he came up with a great idea like that once before, and he said it was called the jump to conclusions mat. It's a mat you would lay on the floor with a bunch of conclusions on it that you would jump to. and he's looking at them for like reassurance and support, like yeah. And Michael's like, that's the stupidest fucking idea I've ever seen or ever heard in my life. This is a terrible idea.
Yeah. This is a good conversation, kind of all over like, what would you do with $1 million?
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
And Samir, he's like the very sensible one.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, well, I'd invest half in like mutual funds and all this stuff.
Yeah,
and
smart guy.
Peter's like, I would do nothing.
Yep.
Like I would do absolutely nothing.
Well, you say at this point, he says, "I never had an answer."
Oh, that's
right. Because
right.
they're kind of framing it like, oh, when your guidance counselor in high school said, "What would you do for $1 million?" That would tell you what you should do. So if you would fix up old cars, you should be a mechanic. And Michael points out to him, that's fucking stupid because nobody would be a janitor because nobody would clean up shit if they had $1 million. They wouldn't choose to do that. But that's when the printer distracts him, and it's like, and he goes, "PC load letter? What the fuck does that mean?" Which is like, I love that.
The PC low letter is so good. Inside their cubicle, and also in his apartment, Michael Bolton has a Navy SEALs poster, which I feel like that's got to be a Clerk. I can't
Here's the thing,
detach
though, but
that
it's
from Clerks.
not the movie.
I know.
But it's so funny to me. It's almost like a recruitment poster for the Navy SEAls, like in his cubicle, and then in his apartment at home. It's like a huge
like a big flag. And he seems
banner.
like the least would be into the Navy SEAls guy.
Well, except that he definitely thinks he's cool, and so he'd be into generically cool stuff. And
I guess the guy who loved the military in '99 would be aesthetically different than the guy who loves the military now.
Pre-post
like
9/11,
the operator looking like grunt style fucking Black Rifle coffee shirt guy or whatever.
It's definitely it's evolved over the last 25 years or 27 years. Yeah.
But you are right that he does, and he sees himself as kind of like a badass, kind of like
absolutely.
a tough guy or whatever.
Yep, for sure.
So let's see, is Peter back home now?
Yeah.
Right, and he has a neighbor, Lawrence. Played by Diedrich Bader.
I love Diedrich Bader.
Underutilized, I feel like he's really funny in this, and he's not in enough stuff.
Between this character and Rex Kwando, like the Rex character from Napoleon Dynamite, like I adore Diedrich Bader. Those two roles alone like work for me. But he's done a bunch of other great stuff too.
Yeah, no, I mean that Napoleon Dynamite thing is so funny though, and he. I like the relationship where you can just yell through the wall to somebody. And when you see like everyone's apartment, there's like barely any decoration. It's very
sparse,
depressing.
yeah.
And when I watched this at the time, because I was still like in college roommate situation. So I was like, oh, dude, it would be so sick to just have my own
have your
blank
own place.
apartment.
Yeah.
Oh, I could put my milk crates anywhere. And watching it now, it's like, oh God, that fucking sucks.
But very similarly, the apartments in Swingers, we see Sue's apartment and we see Mike's apartment, and they're both very sparsely decorated, and sort of sparsely apportioned or appointed rather. And so, so Lawrence yells through the hey, Peter, man, check out Channel 9. It's breast exam. So Lawrence comes over because Peter's like, dude, don't yell through the wall. Just come over and hang out. So he changes to like this, it's an instructional video on like women to check themselves for lumps, but he's like, oh, yeah, this is hot, kind of thing. So they're chatting for a while, and Peter brings up the same question they talked about at work, which is like, if what would you do if you had $1 million kind of thing? And so Lawrence, deadpan, straight face, looks at him and goes, you know what I'd do if I had $1 million, man? 2 chicks at the same time. And it's like, yeah, all right. Like a fair answer.
I love it. And he's like, well, chicks dig dudes with money. And Peter's like, well, not all chicks. He's like, the type of chicks that double up on a dude like me. One Lawrence thing I love, and we would always repeat, and it's just such a throwaway line. When Peter hands him his beer and he goes to like open it for him, and Lawrence like, that's okay, I got it. And pulls his own opener out.
His own shirt key.
Is so like, that's such a guy. Like that character would never let somebody open his beer. Or he'd do the shit where he like opens it with his wedding ring or like a fucking lighter.
Like the side of the counter, the edge of the counter,
Respect to those guys. I've never been one of those. I don't want to damage my table.
This reminds me of a quick story. Like, so when I was in college, I was back home for the summer, and my friend Greg, his older sister, was getting married, and my friend Sean and I were hanging out in Walnut Creek, and we ran into them at the old Pyramid Ale House on like Locust, I think.
Yeah.
And so they were there doing like, they'd done the rehearsal, and they were doing the like party after the rehearsal dinner. So it's like, oh yeah, come hang out with us. So we hung out with them for a while because I grew up with these people for the most part, but they were all a few years older than us. And so we all end up going back to somebody's parents' house in Alamo, right? Like whatever. These are, or mid-20s. I think I was like 20, 21. And we're back there, and somebody's looking around for like a church key for bottle opener, and looks over to me and goes, "You're still in college, right?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "So you got a bottle opener on your keychain, don't you?" And I'm like, yeah. Like, and I give him my keys, the bottle. Sure enough, I had a church key on my key ring. So yeah, I just thought that was funny. But yeah, so he's got his own. And then the other line that Lawrence says that I've just absolutely found ways to sneak into conversation over the years is, I gotta take my ass up to Las Colinas every day this week. Just like when you're just tired of the things you have to do. Like,
he talks to Lawrence a little bit about his work, because Lawrence works at construction,
Yeah.
And Peter's like, do people at your work say things like, you have a case of the Mondays? He's like, oh God, no. I believe you get your ass kicked for saying something like that.
Yeah, it's very funny. But Lawrence gives him a good idea. He's like, if your boss is going to ask you to work the weekend, he's probably going to ask you late on Friday.
Yeah.
So you just avoid him, duck out a little early, turn off your answering machine, and don't worry about it, kind of thing. So Peter, tries to do that. So the next day at work, it's like Friday now, and we get a brief introduction to Bob Slydell, played by one of our absolute favorites, John C. McGinley. And Lumberg is introducing him, like, Bob's going to hang out and help us out, with some efficiency and like whatever. But this is clearly, the consultants that Tom was upset about or whatever, right? He's here
interviewing everyone for their own job.
Exactly.
Basically.
And so then they're trying, basically Peter's now near the end of the day and he wants to avoid Lumberg so that he can get out and like not get asked to come in on Saturday. So he starts shutting down his computer, but there's all these like files that have to be saved or whatever before they can close. And this thing that says rebuilding index or whatever just keeps going all the way full over and over and over again to the point that he's like freaked out. So he thinks he's in the clear and he turns and sure enough, Lumberg's right there. Hey, Peter, what's happening? And he's got to not only ask him to come in on Saturday, but on Sunday too. And he says it's because we lost some people this week and we're sort of playing a little catch up. It's like, oh, so you fired people.
Yeah.
And now there's too goddamn much work. Right. Exactly.
And he doesn't ask him. He just says, I'm going to need you to go ahead. On both days. And he asked him, he tells him both days.
Yep,
yeah.
Both Saturday and Sunday. Terrible.
So now Peter is at the occupational hypnotherapist with his girlfriend Anne, and I don't know who the other people are there. It doesn't. Yeah,
there's two other random people there. I guess they're Anne's friends. Like, it doesn't really make sense why they would be there for Peter's session, but yeah.
This therapist, I recognize the guy. Yes. I don't know what he's from.
He's been in a ton of stuff. Yeah, I can't remember his name, but yeah.
Such a funny look.
Yes.
Most ridiculous toupee ever, right? He's got this crazy hairpiece on, and he's asking Peter about like, what's going on, and Peter's just like, well, every day you see me, that's the worst day of my life. And the therapist is like, well, what about today? Is today the worst day of your life? And Peter's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, that's messed up.
So two things. One, this actor, the thing I most know him from besides this, he played Friar Tuck in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, the Kevin Costner, Morgan Freeman version. He's Friar Tuck in that. But
no
also,
hairpiece, famously.
No, yes, for that one. But also the line about, every day you see me, that's worse. Like, there's something about Mary did almost the same thing when Chris Elliott says to Ben Stiller, every day is better than the next. Oh, so it's like a more subtle version of the same joke. But yeah, so basically he's like, okay, well, I'm going to put you in a hypnosis. You'll be totally relaxed until after I'm done snapping my, I'll count from 3 down to 1 and you'll be totally relaxed and you'll remain that way until I snap my fingers, is what he says.
Yep.
So he does the whole countdown, but as he starts counting down, he's like sweating and like finding it hard to breathe and like squeezing his left fist, kind of left hand. And sure enough, as he gets to 1 and he says 1, which is the final thing to put Peter into the hypnosis, the doctor keels over, having a heart attack, and dies. And Peter is just sitting there totally blissful, unaware, doesn't care, chilling out. Peter is good. But what he's asking for, like before we get too far, you realize what he's asking for is basically the plot of the television show Severance. Because he asked for, can you just like make it so I'm not aware that I'm even at work during the day? He's asking for Severance. So I don't know if like
I haven't seen Severance.
Oh, dude, you've got to see Severance.
But I love the concept of it, and I fucking wish I could have this done so much. My life would be good. It would be wonderful.
Watch Severance and you'll think differently.
Have you ever had someone try to hypnotize you? Have you ever sat?
I've never even, because here's the thing. I don't believe that it's possible. So I don't think I'm susceptible in the way. I think I would, I don't think it would work at all on me because I don't want it to, basically.
My daughter wanted to do it a few years ago, and they had the hypnotist at the county fair.
Okay.
Right? And they have a stage. You can get up there and they'll sit like 10 people in a row and do all this stuff. And then they start, getting you to do things once you're hypnotized, but he'll dismiss people if he decides it's like not working on them. Right. So my daughter really wanted to do it. And I'm like, fuck it, dude. I'll go up there with her. I'm going to ham it up. I'm going along with everything the guy says.
All right.
So I go along and I'm falling asleep and I'm doing all the shit and everything. And I'm making a fool of like doing stuff I would never do in front of all these strangers at the fair. And then at the end, I'm like, that didn't work. And it's like, wait, you did all the shit?
Yeah, it worked exactly like it's supposed to.
Absolutely worked. That's exactly what it did. It zonked you out so you didn't feel stupid about doing this stuff. And then you did this stuff. So yeah, I'm on the fence. We'll see if the guy's back there next year.
I was going to say, I would do it, but I feel like it would be, I would just get dismissed quickly. So it's sort of,
you gotta commit to the bit, I guess.
Which then what's the point? Then you haven't actually been hypnotized. You've just decided to go along with it.
Just to see what he says. I mean, if he was able to zonk me out so I wouldn't know I was at work, then it would have been worth it. But so he's in like a permanent chilled out state, right?
Yep.
And he's home and he's fucking sleeping. He's supposed to work on Saturday. And he's sleeping in. So it shows the clock, his answering machine's going off and it's Lumberg. Yeah. Hi, this is Bill Lumberg. It's just...
And when he finally does wake up, it's like 3:00. He's got like 17 messages on his machine and it's almost all Lumberg and he's skipping. But then Anne, his girlfriend, calls and it's like, Peter, what's going on? Like, why aren't you at work? Like, what happened? Like, what happened last night? All this stuff. And he goes, well, I didn't feel like going. What are you talking about? And she's like getting super pissed. He just hangs up on her.
Yeah.
She immediately calls back and is like, nobody hangs up on me. We're through. Oh, and by the way, I've been cheating on you. And when she yells cheating on you, the fucking answering machine vibrates.
Physically
bad.
moves.
And
Yeah, really funny.
I love that moment. Yeah. Basically, that's done. So Anne is no longer in the picture. And Peter had said to a couple people, he'd said it to Michael, he'd said it to Lawrence. Sometimes I get the feeling that Anne's cheating on me. And in both cases, they were like, yeah, man, I know what you're talking about. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, you know, but turns out they were all correct.
That's like a go-to name for a bad girlfriend. And shout out to all the real life Anns out there. There are many lovely ones, but Arrested Development, you know.
Oh, yeah.
George Michael's girlfriend. So Peter, he doesn't go into work.
Nope.
And he just goes into tchotchkes and he goes to find Joanna.
That's right.
Very cool. And he goes into kind of like say, hey, do you want to meet me for lunch?
Yeah,
I want to take you to lunch.
Yeah.
And
she's like, well, I'm not supposed to eat here.
I can't eat here. He's like, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get a table next door. If you want to join me, no big deal. And if not, that's cool too. Like just so laid
super
back.
breezy, man.
And the way that he's dressed now, you know, like unbuttoned shirt, like classic
jeans, like,
chill guy, fucking flip flops and everything. And then as he's leaving, she's like, by next door, do you mean Chili's or Flingers?
Yeah.
Flingers.
So of course I got to use the fictional one. That way they can make it look however they want. At the same time, we're seeing some scenes from Inside In Attack. We see Tom talking to the two Bobs, Bob Parsons and Bob Slydell. And, you know, they're basically asking him, so what are you doing? And so it sounds like you take the specs from the customers and take them to the software people. He goes, yeah. So why can't the customers go straight to the software people? Like, oh, well, because software engineers are good at talking to people. Okay, so you physically take them? Well, they're faxed or my secretary does that. Okay, so then you physically take them to the software people? No. And Bob, the great line, goes, what is it that you say you do here? You know, it's very funny. Delivery.
Yeah. And Tom just melting down during
completely.
this is really good. I mean, this is a great collection of character actors in like the main roles in this movie are not the best actors. Like the main three guys.
Yeah, they're fine.
Ron Livingston's fine.
I still wonder why Ron Livingston, between this and Swingers and Saving Private Ryan, like I don't know why he wasn't a bigger star.
Yeah, I don't get it either. But these other people that they plug in here are so good.
Yeah.
The Bobs just fantastic. And then the Bobs are talking to Michael Bolton, right?
Yes.
And the way that John C. McGinley is absolutely tickled, like he can't contain himself, right?
I love it.
He's just like, Michael Bolton? Any relation to the pop singer?
I love the way he says that. Any relation to the pop singer? No, it's just a coincidence because I love that guy. It's so good. I don't know. For my money, there's anything better than when he does When a Man Loves a Woman. Like,
so, what's your favorite song? And he's like, I guess I sort of like them all. And then again, me too. I celebrate his entire catalog. And that's another thing we would say. Yes. I celebrate his entire catalog.
100%. Yes, that is in
this
the
vernacular.
This is
the only way the only place I've heard it. So,
oh my God. Now, I will say, by the way, Michael Bolton, I have come around on a bit since this movie came out. When this movie came out, I was also of the mind that he was a no-talent ass clown and like I hated whatever. I have since come around. There are a handful of Michael Bolton songs and none of them are When a Man Loves a Woman. That was a cover anyway. But like Time, Love, and Tenderness is a banger. It is an absolute banger. If you like vocal pop music at all, that song kills. Like there is absolutely 3 or 4 Michael Bolton songs worth going back and going, oh, like his range is ridiculous. Like they're good jazzy pop songs. You just got to be in the mood for that shit.
His voice is crazy unique too. His collaborations with The Lonely Island also very funny.
Very funny. Yes. Very funny. I think that's what turned me around on him. When I realized that he's one of those guys willing to kind of make fun of himself, and he did the movie with the Pirates of the Caribbean song, Lonely Island. It was so funny. And I was like, well, if he's got that good a sense of humor, I wonder if like he's really kind of this, whatever. So I went back and listened to his earlier stuff and I was like, okay, there's a couple songs here that are like much in the same way that like How You Remind Me is Nickelback, but it's still a great song. It's the only one Nickelback has in my opinion, but it is still a great song. Like there are a handful of good songs.
This does not represent the opinions of the Two Dads One Movie
How You Remind Me is a good
This
song, man. I'm sorry. I will stand by that. The only one Nickelback ever made, but yeah. Anyway.
So we're back at Flingers now.
Right. Yes.
Right. So Peter and Joanna are sitting there and he's looking, she's still in her uniform from Tchotchkes, which is a TGI Fridays, very, covered in pins and all this stuff, which the manager, she explains to him, these are pieces of flair. He's like, what are all these buttons? He reads off one of her buttons, which calls back to a previous film that we had, Swingers, where he says, we're not in Kansas anymore, reading her button, which I think, once again, direct shout out to Swingers. And she explains to him, well, they make us put this on, to make our uniform more fun. And they're kind of both talking about how shitty their job is. She's like, well, what do you do?
Yeah.
He's like, I sit in a cubicle and update bank software for the 2000 Switch. And he goes through like a few sentences trying to explain it to her. And he's just like, you know what?
Never mind.
I don't want to talk about this.
I'm not going to do it anymore.
I'm not going to go anymore.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not going to
go. She's like, you're going to quit? He's like, no, I'm just not going to go.
Yeah. Job abandonment. That's a thing. Quiet quitting, I believe they started calling it.
That's right.
More recently.
But he closes by saying, you know what I want to do? I want to take you out to dinner. Then I want to go to my apartment and watch Kung Fu. Do you watch Kung Fu? And she's just like, I love Kung Fu.
She's so starstruck about it. He's lucky guy that she happens to be way into
the ladies
Kung Fu.
were all into carotene back then. So let's see. We're back at the office now.
Oh, yeah.
Milton is going on about his stapler. He has a red swing line stapler. Staple of like, it's staple, no pun intended, of every fucking office white elephant party of the early 2000s.
The red swing line,
right?
Yep.
That like office space related swag, garbage. I think I have a fucking bobblehead of somebody in this office somewhere. It's everywhere.
Hopefully of Lumberg.
So
that would be the best bobblehead to have.
That would be great. So Milton's red stapler is kind of a thing. And he's always talking under his breath. So Lumberg comes and takes it from him and walks away. And Milton's like, I'm going to set the building on fire.
You took my stapler. Yeah.
So Peter's in, and he's going to go meet with the Bobs now.
Well, no, so Peter comes to the office to get his address book because he wants to write down Joanna's number, and Michael sees him and reminds him, dude, you're supposed to be meeting with the consultants, with the Bobs, whatever. He goes, oh, all right, I'll go in. He's like, no, dude, you gotta like postpone. Look at you. You can't go in there like that. No, man, I'm fine. I feel great. And he goes in and he's chatting with him. And
I like that he pours himself a glass of water first before even sitting down.
And they're asking him to like explain his day. And he's like, well, I come in at least 15 minutes late. I use the side entrance so Lumberg can't see me. And then I pretty much zone out for an hour. And like,
the way he jumps in there, space out.
Yeah, I sort of just sit and stare at my screen. Looks like I'm working though. I do that again for another hour after lunch. I'd say in a given week, I don't do any more than 15 minutes of actual work. And there's a great moment here where John C. McGinley, Bob Slydell goes, Peter, would you mind doing us a favor and just expanding on that a little bit? And the way he like uses, I can't do it because it's a podcast, it's an audio medium.
But he's taffy
he's like, he's spreading his fingers. I could just elaborate a little bit, and it's just very funny. But he's basically like, let me tell you something about TPS reports. So
he goes it's not that I'm lazy; it's that I just don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah, I work my ass off. In it, I don't make another dime.
Exactly. And he's right. And so they say, well, what if you talk, there's like profit sharing? He's like, I don't know. Fine. And basically he has won these guys over. Like he has completely won them over. They are super excited. And he says, oh, it's a real pleasure. The pleasure's all on this side of the table. Believe me. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope your layoffs go really well.
Yeah.
Good luck with all your firings. And then as Peter leaves, Lumberg tries to stop him. He's like, Peter, I guess we should talk about this weekend.
And he just steps aside him and walks right through. Joanna is being kind of talked to by her boss. She's played by Mike Judge.
That's right. Yep. Stan. Yeah.
He's really funny in small bits part. Like, good actor.
You notice how little he moves his mouth when talking as this character? His lips barely separate as he talks. It's very funny.
It's like you can tell he has a specific person in mind when he's doing this character.
Absolutely,
right?
Yes. He met this person, whoever it is.
Yeah. And it's showing that working at Tchotchke's is just like working at Initech with the same kind of bullshit. And he's like, well, let me talk to you about your flair. She's like, well, I have 15 pieces of flair. He's like, well, 15's the minimum. We just maybe like, she's like, so I should put more.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, we want you to do what you want you to do. But look at Brian. He has 37 pieces of flair and a great smile. Like,
people can get a cheeseburger
it's this
anywhere.
Bullshit where they won't come out and tell you what they need you to do.
Yep.
And it's so irritating and so frustrating. So she's like,
it's like if they should just make the policy minimum is 15 and we expect you to go higher than that.
Yeah.
And then just somebody put a 16th piece on and then everybody shut up about it. Like,
or have like a button bin when you walk in there and fucking load up.
Yeah, exactly. It's just ridiculous.
So we're back with the Bobs now, I think, are talking to Lumberg and the other kind of boss guy, right? And they're going through the people that they've talked to, right? So who's next? Tom, or I don't know if Samir was first.
No, it's Thompson. We definitely lose Tom Sinkowski. He's worthless.
He's useless.
Or useless.
Gone. Milton, they say, Milton Wadhams, for some reason we find out he was laid off 5 years ago, but through some glitch in the payroll system, he still receives a check. So we went ahead and fixed the glitch.
So Milton has been fired then. No. Hold on there, Professor.
We fixed the glitch, so things will work each other out. Again, the most like pussy ass, no accountability, like bullshit corporate consultant kind of move.
And the one good joke on Samir's name here is when Bob, the non Bob Slydell, is looking at it, goes, we can leave Samir and not going to work here anymore anyway. He was just like, okay, that's funny. If you're going to mispronounce the guy's name, at least make it a good joke. And then Mike Bolton, we'll miss him. Like they're just super pissed about Mike.
Oh, because he has to be called Mike.
At the end. Yeah, exactly.
And then they get to Peter and they're like, oh, he's a straight shooter with upper management written all over him. And Lumbergh is like, yeah, I'm not sure I disagree. And John McGinley is getting so furious. Like, I love his choice there to just get over
his
the
face
top.
Is getting red. Like,
he's like, what's in the box?
Yeah.
Like, furious, man. He is just shaking. It is so fucking funny.
And then the other Bob's gonna be like,
he's gotta like chill him out.
Okay,
yeah, like he's gonna hop
this.
out of his seat. And punch
I got this. And they flip over a sheet for Lumbergh, like the same kind of evaluation sheet they have everybody else, and go, so Bill, tell me, how much time would you say you spend each week on these TPS reports? I was like, ooh. So then we get the damn it feels good to be a gangster montage, basically, so Peter comes back to the office to get something, and instead of getting shocked by the handle, he uses the drill to like take it off the door completely.
Yep.
We see little bits of like he and Joanna watching Kung Fu at his place, him and Joanna and Lawrence all going fishing, looks like in the middle of the day.
Yep.
He brings the fish to the office to like clean it.
Just guts it in his
guts
cubicle.
it in the cubicle.
On
like,
top of a bunch of TPS reports.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just like kind of thing. And then he and Joanna like kissing at one point. So we're seeing that their relationship's like evolving and moving on. And then
Peter takes down the wall of his cubicle.
That's right. He unscrews the cubicle
and
wall,
just lets it flop on the ground.
That's very when Steve quit in singles and his cubicle just fell apart.
Oh yeah,
very similar kind of thing. But yeah, so then he's playing Tetris and eating Cheetos, and Bill Lumbergh walks up and goes, "Why, Peter? What's happening? I think we need to talk about your TPS reports or whatever." And he's like, "Not now, Lumbergh. I'm busy. I got to meet with the Bobs anyway."
Yeah, really funny. Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster, I think, is a probably top 3 all-time rap song for people that don't otherwise like rap.
Okay.
Like if you find a playlist of somebody who doesn't listen to rap, they've got Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster. They got fucking Diddy by Paperboy.
Okay.
They got some Nelly on there. You know, that kind of borderline, like nobody who's really into rap. But Ghetto Boys, Scarface, very good.
Right.
So interesting choices. And I wasn't sure if Mike Judge was from Houston or if that was just like the scene that he identified with. But yeah, it was an interesting choice to have a lot of like Ghetto Boys and Scarface, and there's some Ice Cube too.
Yeah.
But great montage. And that song, I mean, we listened to that song a million times.
I chase bitches like Tom chases Jerry. It's a great line. Like
it spawned so many crappy social media posts too,
okay.
where there'd just be a person doing a very normal thing, wearing the shittiest sunglasses you've ever seen, and it just says, "Damn, it feels good to be a gangster."
So Peter goes in to talk to the Bobs, and the first thing they say when he walks in is, "It looks like you've been missing work, missing a little bit of work lately, Peter." Well, I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob, which is another thing.
And they love his shit. That's the funniest thing is there's nothing he could say that they do not love.
Yeah, exactly. So they let him know this is where the plot kind of kicks back in, right? So we've had the opening scenes of like, this is Peter's world and like his job sucks and whatever. And then we get the hypnosis and this kind of like other, he moves into this other part of his like relationship with his job where it's just like he doesn't give a shit, whatever, and he meets Joanna. But now like the plot kind of has to kick back in because we got to have a challenge for him, right? Like a character isn't gonna we're not just gonna watch him just hate his job for another 40 minutes. Something's got to happen. So they bring him in, they let him know that Michael and Samir are being let go. I don't know why they would tell him that, but they do, and that they want to put 4 people under him in like a leadership position. So it's like a big promotion kind of thing. And he's kind of like, so you're gonna fire Samir and Michael and you're going to give me more money? And they're like, yeah, what do you think? And he's like, okay. So he goes to talk to Michael. And this is, again, like Michael, I think, is wrestling with the printer again and dealing with that. But he's basically just like...
Is that where Michael says, do that? Do exactly that.
Yeah, exactly.
Another one we would
But he's basically just like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Like, let's go chat. So they go over to Michael's apartment. And this is the other apartment we see is Michael Bolton's. It's got the big Navy SEALs flag over the couch and stuff. And they're getting beers. And he's basically like, hey, like, you made this virus you said you could make rip off the company. Like, how does it work? And it's basically like, it's a thing that was in Superman 3. And it's basically like, the round when you have all these bank transactions that result in rounding decimal places past a penny, they normally like I think they normally like round them left, up and down, and it all evens out at the end of the day or whatever it might be. So instead they will always round them down and put those fractions of a penny into an account, right? That's the idea behind it. And he's like, well, they check for us. Yeah, but with all this stuff we're doing with the 2000 switch, like nobody would notice. Like there's just too much shit going on at Initech right now. Nobody would notice.
And the money would leave at a slow enough pace because they're talking about this would net us a couple $100,000 over the course of like 5 years, 10 years, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a thing where, they'd have money, but it wouldn't be something that would be easy to notice over a long enough time. And so, he's like, why don't you do it? He's like, well, I got a good job. I don't want to take the risk. What if you didn't have a good job?
Yeah.
And we get like a smash cut to a bar where now they're drinking. And the first thing Michael says is cock gobblers.
Oh man.
You get to keep your job. They're giving me a promotion. What? Like,
and he's saying that he doesn't have enough like full understanding of how to do this. They need Samir to help as well.
Exactly. So whatever,
which is
credit
perfect
union
because,
software. Yeah.
Yeah, because Samir is also without a job.
Also getting shit canned.
And when Peter's trying to explain, he's like, look, the worst thing that can ever happen to us is we get sent to a white collar resort prison, for a couple of years. We should be so lucky.
They have conjugal visits in there.
Yes.
I'm a free man. I haven't had a conjugal visit in 6 months. And so they're like, talking about it. And Samir basically finally kind of comes around and is like, okay, I'll do it. And then because he says, in these conjugal visits, you can have sex with women? Yes, you can. Okay, I'll do it. And
then we get the montage of them.
Yes,
with the
exactly.
virus.
So then they have to load the virus. So they've got like the little 3.5-inch floppy disk, and it gets passed between them. And then, it's actually Peter that ends up actually putting it into a particular computer. It's like, I think the idea is Michael wrote the virus. Samir was able to put the right wrapper around it so the software would recognize it and use it. And then Peter actually does the delivery. And when he gets back to their cubicle, he goes, well, that wasn't hard at all. Like, that was really easy.
Yeah, it was like a montage that seemed like it was going to be super long. And,
exactly. And like really crazy. Or like there'd be like a risky moment, like a thriller moment. No, none of that. And then this new character we haven't seen before, Drew, walks up and basically ask them if they heard what happened to Tom. And like, no, what happened to Tom? Well, Tom finds out he's getting laid off, which apparently he found out from like a letter, which is interesting. But he basically decides he doesn't want to live anymore. So he gets into his car, closes his garage door, like windows down, turn the car on, the exhaust, right? Well, his wife comes home from work early, he says, finds him there, opens everything up. And he, when he decides, he looking at her, he decides he does want to live. Maybe he's okay. But as he pulls out of his driveway, he gets just absolutely T-boned by like this speeding pickup truck, a big dually.
Yeah.
And he broke like both legs, his back, his neck, like all kinds of stuff. And he's been in the hospital, and he's getting out this weekend.
Right. And he's looking at a big settlement.
He's going to get a big settlement.
So
7 figures. Yeah, exactly.
This guy, Drew, fucking sucks.
Yeah,
he's not funny.
No.
I don't know what at the time I thought this guy was funny. Because
was he like a stand-up that like had a small career or something?
I have
like, I don't
seen
know.
him in so few things. There's a very small part, and I can't even think of what it was now, but he's been in so little that I haven't even, but it's just not that good. And he's doing this O face. Oh, maybe this girl's going to be at the party. I'll show him my O face. Oh. Sorry, buddy. It doesn't hold up. It sucks.
Funny. Yeah.
So they're leaving the office, right? And so Samir and Michael have been fired. Peter's driving.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, last day at the office, I kind of wish we stole something. And Peter's like, oh, I stole something. Yeah. And they're like, well, yeah, in a way we all did. He's like, nope, I stole something else.
Yep. And that's when he brings out the printer and into an open field, and they just start bashing the hell out of it.
And we get this back up in your ass with the resurrection. So this great song is they're beating the shit out of the printer. We did make a video in college of us beating up my roommate PJ's printer.
Nice.
He had a printer, and it was like, classic piece of shit, but it was the only printer we had. And then we got access to a new one, and we made a video, and we put this song on it. The video is on VHS, so if anybody has a VHS player, I'll see if I can find it. But it does exist somewhere, and it was really fun to do. But yeah, so funny to watch them just in, they're giving the Pesci Billy Bats beat down to this thing.
And they got a baseball bat going. And then at one point, Michael actually gets down with his fist and is punching the printer. I'm like, that is not, you're going to rip yourself apart doing that.
And they pull him off it, and he like rips away from them and comes back and starts beating it up more. So yeah, great scene and great kind of resolution of that fucking printer thing.
And so then they show them all kind of partying back at Peter's apartment for a little bit. And Samir's got moves. He's all of a sudden doing breakdancing, b-boy moves.
Dance more in this
that
movie.
Was crazy. While Michael and Peter are just sort of like barely bobbing side to side, like the good white
doing
boys
the white
they
guy
are.
wobble.
Exactly. And so they go and they leave, and Peter's like, oh, you guys got to go. Joanna's coming over later, but don't worry about it. You're worrying. Everything's gonna be fine. Don't worry, kind of thing. So the next morning, there's all this, stuff all over the beer bottles and whatever. And so Joanna's there just wearing a t-shirt, looking good, frankly, and sipping coffee. And Peter comes out and goes, so what were you guys celebrating last night? He goes, oh, I'm not at liberty to say. She just looks at him. No, I really can't say anything. cut to them in the car and him explaining the entire
whole
thing
thing.
to her because like she's not about to take that. And he's going on and on about like, she's like, isn't that stealing? He's like, no, it's not stealing. Like Initech's an evil corporation, whatever. Like, Initech's the problem. Tchotchkes is the problem. The Nazis had pieces of flair they made the Jews wear. And she rightly looks at him like he's insane.
They get to Tom's party, and of course Tom is like in a wheelchair, full body cast,
body cast with the halo and everything.
Crazy. And he's got his attorney there with him,
Yeah.
who's at the party, who's gonna get his settlement. And there's a scene of Michael and Samir talking to this lawyer outside, and it's just the lawyer saying, "Resort?
No,
I don't think
I don't
so.
think so.
The trick is kick somebody's ass the first day, or become somebody's bitch." Which again, we said that a million
yes,
times.
100%. Oh, that's become like, I just accept that that's actual truth about going to prison.
Yeah.
That's literally how it works.
I guess so. Yeah.
So then Drew comes up to Peter. Joanna's off talking to some people, and Drew is like, "Hey, Peter, how's it going? Oh, hey, like, isn't that girl from Tchotchkes? Who's she here with?" And Peter's like, "Oh, she's with me." And he goes, "Nice. Make sure you wear rubber, dude." He's like, why? "Oh, dude, she gets around." He's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Oh, well, let me think. Like, hell, Lumberg fucked her," and that just starts ringing in Peter's ears.
Yeah.
Lumberg fucked her. Lumberg fucked her. Like the whole thing. And he's super
listing
freaking
all
out
these
about
guys.
it.
He really is. Peter feels like he's going to go out like Willy Lump Lump. They're so on the way home.
Yeah.
They're kind of having an argument, Joanna and Peter, where she's not down with his scheme.
Well,
She
no,
doesn't
that's
like
that,
it, really.
yeah. There's that, but yeah,
But
she's
she's
like,
also pissed that he's like,
well, she says something like, maybe you shouldn't do this, or maybe you shouldn't have done that. And he's like, well, maybe you shouldn't have fucked Lumberg,
Yes.
and just like, and she's like, what are we talking about? But then she like goes, oh, Lumberg, right? And so it's like she doesn't deny it. She's just like whatever, and he loses his shit. Like he's
like
disgusting,
Dante
evil,
and Clerks,
yeah,
like just flipping
absolutely
out, right?
freaks the fuck out, and she's just like, let me out of the car. Let me out of the fucking car. He just pulls over and lets it. And I love this because it's like, he tries to yell after her, like, why don't you go fuck Lumberg? But like she slams the door while he's yelling, and it really cuts the audio in a very funny way where it just like takes all the air out of his like insult. It's like,
And Peter's having a nightmare, and it's just Lumberg with just a bare leg up on his
woman's
shoulder,
foot.
and he has his suspenders on but no shirt, and he's still holding his coffee mug, like
wearing the glasses,
making the humping motion. He's like, "Hey, Peter!" Like his nightmare
What's
scenes
happening?
are really funny.
Yep.
So Peter goes to check the bank account that they had the money going in.
Well, first
right?
Joanna quits. Like,
Oh, Joanna
Joanna's
quits
in
her job,
Tchotchkes, and she gets confronted by her boss again about the flare, and is finally like, "Here's me expressing myself," and she flips him off. And
I love him trying to block her middle finger
So
with
nobody
his
can see
palm
it.
so
Yeah.
no one can see it. It's such a store manager, like weenie ass, like, "Oh, we got to think
be
about the
careful.
customer at all
There are
times.
children
Shut
here.
the fuck
Like, so she quits. And then, yes, Peter goes to like an ATM to check the balance. This is, Monday morning, I think is what we're told.
Yeah.
So it's like 3 days after the virus was planted. So
they should have like $10 right now.
maybe 100 or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like if you think about like what they were talking about numbers, it's like a couple of $100 at the absolute most. No. Over $300,000 is in the account. So they know they fucked up. Because if they take $100,000 a day, that's going to get noticed. Like there's no way. So he goes to get Samir and Michael, and they're talking about it in the car. And Michael is like, I must have put the decimal point in the wrong place. I always miss some mundane detail. Oh, this is not a mundane detail, Michael. Like everybody's losing their shit.
I love Samir saying, "This is a fuck."
He's a fuck. So
Back at the office now, it's
Yep.
Lumberg's birthday.
Right, yeah.
We got the cake out. We're all singing happy birthday. Just perfect lame birthday party.
pisses
right?
me off, by the way, that in this moment Bill Lumberg is younger than I am now, because I still think of him as like older, but he's like his 41st birthday.
Very
like, fuck
upsetting
you.
to me.
Like, God damn.
Because later on they say, "Oh, the other Lumberg, the young
guy, yeah.
Fuck you, 41 is young as hell." And it's very funny when they're singing happy birthday, because
the tune.
when they get to the happy birthday dear, it's like some people just kind of say Bill, some say Mr. Lumberg. They
yeah.
don't know what to say and
Yeah.
everything. So Milton is very concerned. He's like, "Oh, last time there was cake. I did not
Yeah,
get a
yeah.
piece, and let me get a piece of cake." So he gets one. They're like, "Hey, Milton, come on, keep passing it around." And he obviously doesn't get his cake.
No, he's the only one who gets no cake because everybody hates Milton.
Yep.
And then I think after that, Bill comes down. Milton rather has been moved to storage B in the basement,
Yes.
but he comes
Something
down
else
there.
we would refer to a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Down in storage B. He's like, we've got a cockroach problem down here. So if you could just get yourself a can of Raid and, just crawl in there and get those. No, it's not really my job. No, thank you. I just still want my stapler back.
And Milton this whole time is like, I still haven't received my
haven't
paycheck.
received my
and they're
paycheck.
not saying anything to him except
No.
for, you're going to talk to HR.
Yeah, go talk to payroll
So
about
these
that.
fucking
Like,
cowards that are running the company, right?
Yep.
So Peter then finds out that the Lumberg that Joanna slept with.
Basically, Peter and Michael and Samir are hanging out, I think, back at Peter's house again and talking about what they can do about this. And like, well, maybe we can launder money or whatever. And then he's like, I can't believe this happened. And then Peter's like, well, I can't believe Joanna fucked Lumberg. And Michael goes, yeah, you didn't know about that? He goes, what? Yeah. Like 2 years ago before he moved to Florida. You talking about Gary or Greg? I don't know what he says.
Lumberg.
Ron, whatever that was. The young guy, the Inatrode guy. Yeah. What do you think? I meant Bill? Or children that have fucking hooves. So he's now realizes he got freaked out about the wrong guy. Although, to be honest, two guys named Lumberg unrelated to each other in the same town, like that seems unlikely to me. But it's not a very common name. But anyway,
Where are we in this movie, by the way?
We're at the point where they are.
I mean, physically, geographically.
So that's interesting. So I think it's really supposed to be like it's in Silicon Valley, like it's in like Palo Alto, Cupertino, etc. But the license plates all specifically are not state license plates.
Okay.
So we are in any state USA.
Okay. I was just curious if it was like.
All the license plates
and
all the license plates on all the cars just have like a US flag with no state name on them. So they're deliberately not saying a name. But like, if you look at the way the office parks look, the way the freeway looks, it looks like it absolutely could be the South Bay, in my opinion. Not so much San Jose, but like Cupertino, Mountain View, Palo Alto, that kind of area.
Yeah.
But it's, I think he's very deliberately, Judge does not say anything about it. But yeah, so we're in Peter's apartment.
Wondering what to do. They get a knock at the door.
Right. Well, they're trying to figure out how to launder money.
Yes.
And they're like, they look it up in the dictionary. It's like to launder is to conceal by way of routing through an intermediate. It's like, I can't believe what nerds we are. We're looking up money laundering in the dictionary. But they're like, we don't know how to do this. Like, if we knew a drug dealer, maybe they would know and we could ask them for tips on how to launder money.
It's like, my cousin's a cokehead.
Cokehead, So ring at the doorbell, and it's the actor Orlando Jones, and he's playing a guy selling magazine subscriptions door to door. And he's kind of like got this stilted speech, and he's like waving my voice like, hi, my name is Steve. I come from a rough area. I used to be addicted to crack, but now I'm not, and I am selling magazine subscriptions. So they're like, "Oh, come on in."
Did you say crack? Yeah.
You say crack?
They bring him inside, and they're asking about money laundering, and he's just kind of like, "I don't know anything about any money laundering." And they finally get to the point, and he's just like, "Look, man," just goes and dips into his normal voice, right? He's like, I just do this to sell more magazines.
Yeah, like I make more money selling magazines than I used to as a software engineer. Wait, software engineer? Like, I was at Inatrode. Inatrode, some of the same people we know. You're not going to say anything, are you? And he goes, well, now that depends. And then as he leaves, Peter's like, what am I going to do with 40 subscriptions to Vibe?
Orlando Jones, also a guy I didn't see a whole lot. This whole like Mad TV generation, like hit or miss,
Yeah, it's sort of like, I feel like they're sort of akin to some of the Second City TV people from 15, 20 years prior, where it's like many of them made out like bandits and really became stars, and then several sort of just, they were in things and you'd recognize them, but they never really got the name recognition or like really the longevity, that some of the other folks in their group did. And this is a very similar concept.
He's living off that make 7 Up yours money.
That's good shit, dude. That was a funny shirt. Still wish I had one of those.
So the friends are this leaves and the friends are like, dude, Peter fucked you
fucked us. Yeah, so bad.
We're in trouble. They keep referring, to federal pound me in the ass prison.
Right.
This is a rape joke, by the way. We're talking about rape jokes or not rape jokes. That is absolutely a rape 100%. Joke, and it's throughout this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Peter's just like, you know what? Like, I'll try to take the blame, but they're fucking done with him.
They're super pissed. And so then they leave, and he like calls through the wall. He goes, hey, Lawrence, you up? Yeah. You want to come over? Oh man, I don't want you fucking up my life too. I love Lawrence.
Yeah, and he's just picking up all this from overhearing. It's really good.
All, So Peter decides, he writes out a confession, and he's got like traveler's checks or cashier's checks, whatever they are, of like the amount of money, puts it all in an envelope and decides, I'm going to go do this. He goes to see Joanna. She's working at Flingers now. So she just went next door to the other, fast casual restaurant. But basically he's like telling her, hey, I'm going to go away for a while because I'm going to admit to this. And I'm really sorry. I should never have judged you. Like, wasn't the right Lumberg anyway. Like, I was an idiot. So, I hope you sort of like accept my apology and everything. But like, they can't be thinking in this moment that they're staying together. Like she's not going to, they haven't been together long enough that she's going to like wait for him. If he's going away for years in jail, right?
She's not going to be his conjugal visit.
But he goes, they hug or whatever. And then Brian, who, the 37 pieces of flair guy comes out and like flipping him off. And she's like,
get a room, you two.
I hate that guy. Yeah.
Let's see. We've got Milton, who's now
Well,
you know,
first Peter goes before anybody's at the office. He goes and he slides
he slides the thing under
the envelope under Lumberg's door to his office, and then decides he wants it back. So he goes to try to get it out from underneath. Never even tries the door, if you'll notice. Never even tries the knob. Just gives it up because then, basically, Milton comes back for the day or whatever. And Lumberg's not there yet, but Milton is like still trying to figure out where his paycheck is, basically, and wants his stapler back. And so he's asking the secretary in front of Lumberg's office, he's like, Mr. Lumberg, whatever. And so she tells him, go sit in your seat, go whatever. And he walks in. He's, well, I'm going to get my stapler. And then so he goes in, and we see him like step on the envelope and kind of notice it. And then we cut away. And so now Peter is going to leave his apartment and go to the office to basically be there to be arrested, I guess is the idea. And I love another great Lawrence, like, hey, Peter, man, watch out for your cornhole, bud.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
He says his goodbyes to Lawrence and everything.
Exactly.
And then when he gets there, he sees that the building is on fire.
Big time on fire. Not a little fire.
Yeah, there's not a fire inside the building. Every bit of that building is on fire.
There's like a big sculpture out front that's falling over because it's like all of its connective tissue is burning and everything. And so, Peter just starts chuckling about the whole thing, and we still see Milton sort of wandering off. And it's funny because I like the way they decided to indicate to us that Milton took the envelope, took the money. Well, there's two, but the first one is we then cut ahead a few months, and Peter is part of the demolition crew tearing down what's left. Him and Lawrence, he's basically joined Lawrence's crew, and he's got a shovel, or Lawrence does, and he picks up the red swing line stapler from the ashes. So clearly Milton got distracted away from the stapler in Bill Lumberg's office and took the envelope. We later see Milton at a resort or whatever as well. But basically, like, the idea, the coda here is that Peter has taken a job in construction, being outside, working with his hands, getting exercise, working with Lawrence. He feels good about it because Michael and Samir show up and are like, hey, man, how you doing? Like, hey, we got jobs at Intertrode. It's fine. We could probably help you get one there. He's like, no, I'm good. Yeah. And which is great. Peter's figured out.
Yeah. And Peter's like, look, I'm outside. I'm making some money. I'm getting some exercise. Like, I'm not having people ask me if I have a case of the Mondays and everything. Like, this works for me. So he finds like a solution, like something that's good enough for him to do for a living.
Exactly. And that's and then we close on Milton at a resort, and he asks the guy for something. He's like, oh, there was so much salt on the rim, I asked for no salt and whatever. And the guy's like, pinche gringo, and like walks
and Milton's
off.
like, I could take my traveler's checks to a competing resort.
He is a funny guy.
How old was Stephen Root when this was made? I got to look into that because he's still currently in so much shit, right?
I gotta say 30s, like maybe late 30s.
It's one of those things where you always think of him as being like mid 50s,
right?
But then as you're seeing him now, you're like, well, he couldn't have been that old then,
He
right?
looks like he's in his 60s now, like, but yeah. So that's
Office Space, man. So yeah. All right, well, this was my pick to close out Two Dads, Two Decades. This has been quite a run here, all the way from Airplane to Office Space. So I hadn't watched that. I'd seen this probably maybe as much as I've seen anything in my life.
Interesting. Okay.
Pretty high up there because this was for a while in college, it was like 40 days in a row we would put this on every single day. And I haven't seen it about 10 years or so. I think it is still funny. It's still relevant. It's a great snapshot of like that time and like working during that time. Most of the jokes are still pretty good. The soundtrack I think is good. Like, I like it. It's not for everyone. So there's certain people it's not going to work for, but I think the choices are better than they were in like basketball or something.
For sure.
There was like a cohesiveness to the soundtrack and everything. As much as I love Michael and Samir, I don't think they're that great as like sidekick actors. I think Ron Livingston's fine. I think Jennifer Aniston is extremely underutilized. Like, she is such a funny comedic actress. And I never watched Friends when it was on. I never watched Friends at all until the pandemic. My wife and daughter would watch it. But even without that, like her in like Wanderlust and like all these different movies, like she is really funny. And I wish they gave her more to do in this because she's more just like the chick from Leprechaun in this movie. Like, they don't give her a whole lot.
Right. Well, this was definitely a time when like TV actors didn't generally move over to movies. So she was the first of the like Friends people to really make, well, like not the first to make the move, but like because Courtney Cox did Scream, and Jennifer Aniston did this and a couple other things, but it's like you couldn't demand the kind of like, the fact that you were a hit TV star did not get you great roles. I guess is the point.
Right.
So when you get into
like a level below.
Yeah, you go today and it's like, it's all interchangeable now, so it's like, that was a thing where she was still considered by the film world in Hollywood to be, well, just a TV person. So I'm sure she just didn't get a meaty role, but she looked at it and went, I got to get into this somehow. I do these, and eventually she can do stuff like, whatever, like Meet the Millers or whatever. It's very funny stuff. But
and that is a good point. I mean, like during the era that we're covering, there was such a difference, and TV and film didn't mix all that much.
Yep.
This was an enjoyable watch. It was an hour 30. I felt like it was kind of a long hour 30.
Fair, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
There were parts of it that weren't like super exciting. The overall message I think that's important to take away from this is your loyalty to your job should be exactly limited to what it's doing for you. It is fucking insane to go above and beyond for these companies that do not give a fuck about you. So just always keep that in mind. Like nothing is worth your sanity. Nothing is worth your fucking freedom.
Yep.
So like, Peter, if we have those hypnotherapists in real life, find one of those, or just find something you want to do. Because I like Peter's resolution here at the end. This was still pretty fun for me, and I would definitely recommend this. I'd be surprised if there's people in our demo who haven't seen it.
I know, right?
But if you haven't, check it out. Like if you missed it for some reason, I think it's worth watching for sure. I'm gonna give Office Space a 3.5 out of 5.
All right, yeah, and I'm pretty much right in the same ballpark you're in. I think it's interesting. 1999 was an interesting year for movies in that if you think about it, this movie and then two of the biggest movies of the year were all somehow based around a white man dissatisfied with his office job, with his comfortable office job. Because you have this, The Matrix, and Fight Club all deal with a white guy who hates his office job.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, when we look back at like the stability of the late 90s economy versus today, it's like, dude, we were all lucky to have those kinds of jobs in some way back then, because you had time and money potentially for hobbies and shit.
Right.
You weren't struggling or worrying about survival. But in these movies, there's so much sentiment around that soul crushing, kind of thing. I feel like it's very much in the same way. It's such a product of the late 90s, just like the concept of being a sellout, like isn't a thing anymore. Like everybody sells out constantly.
Everything's been sufficiently financialized it's dropped from that.
So that's just not a thing. Like there are no posers or sellouts anymore. Like that was a purely 90s construct, right? And this whole thing about hating your office job, I feel like is very much like that as well, and is very uniquely 90s. I really enjoyed this movie. I had a lot of fun watching it. It's not great. It's not like some spectacular comedy that holds up great. You're right. The federal pound me in the ass prison stuff, that's shitty. I don't like it. It's just kind of not that funny to begin with. And there are other elements that just kind of fall a little bit flat, but then there's some jokes that just absolutely kill. Mm-hmm. And it's almost all the supporting people that really are hilarious.
Yes.
Diedrich Bader and John C. McGinley make this movie. Their characters are hilarious. There's not a wasted line in between either of them. Very, very funny people. I'm also a 3.5 out of 5 on Office Space. So we're a 7 out of 10 altogether, which I think is right about where we should be with this. So 7 out of 10 on Office Space. And that wraps up Two Dads, Two Decades. So
what are we going to do now,
we've got no guiding light, no North Star for now until, I'll let you know, folks, from now until October.
Now we're doing Two Dads Chaos.
We'll bring back Shocktoberfest this October, but until then, it's kind of like whatever we want to watch.
I like it. I don't like being so restrained.
Yeah, so now we've got the whole pair of decades, the whole 20 years is before us and available to us. It's my pick, and I decided coming out of this, I really wanted to nail it with something that I feel like is one of the best movies, period, of all time. Definitely one of the best movies of the era. And for a while was in my like little top 4 movies in Letterboxd on my Letterboxd account. This was one of my top 4 for a while. So we are going, the movie came out in 1993. So that's the era that we're going back to. But the movie takes place in the late 19th century in the Arizona territory. So this is an Old West. This is a Western. It is one of the best Westerns. Best Westerns. It is one of the finest Westerns ever made. Starring Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, and Sam Elliott. This is the story of the shootout at the OK Corral and the Earp brothers. We're going to watch Tombstone.
Damn.
Which is just one of the best movies, one of the best Westerns of all time.
I am super excited because this movie is definitely in my top 5 of movies people would yell at me for not having seen.
Perfect.
And I don't know why I haven't seen it. I have no reason. Like, I'm fucking psyched about this. This could be another The Thing. You're introducing me to a Kurt Russell movie I haven't seen yet. Dude, I'm really excited to watch this one.
This is much more The Thing than it is like The Last Starfighter. I'll tell you that. It's definitely closer to The Thing than The Last Starfighter. So next week we will watch Tombstone. That's a wrap. So if you like what you hear, please consider heading over to Apple or Spotify and leaving us a 5-star review. It helps new folks find the show. Be sure to check out our website at twodads1movie.com. That's the number 2 and the number 1. There you can explore the movies we've covered, sign up for our newsletter, The Rewind, and even get sneak previews of upcoming episodes. Once again, this has been Office Space, another episode of Two Dads, One Movie. I'm Steve.
And I'm Nick.
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Thanks, everyone.